to this very important National Food Security Summit. Of course, we would like to thank this early our farmers, fishers, and agripreneurs. They are the frontliners in ensuring food security for this country, and for that matter, can we give them a big round of applause? So mga kaibigan, magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. I will try to articulate what I have heard today, and of course starting yesterday, and maybe handle the big policy directions and or strategies that, yes, all of us must properly welcome and embrace, institutionalize, and follow it through. The agricultural sector has been beset by a number of big challenges since we started working as the Secretary Servant Leader of the Department of Agriculture way back August of 2019. So, what are these big challenges? The natural disasters, the African swine fever, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the series of typhoons that really have inflicted agriculture so much damage. But in spite of these challenges, we have been able to weather through. And you have seen the growth of agriculture last year. Among the sectors, we can consider agriculture as the most resilient. And being the most resilient, we are also saying that agriculture, in spite of the COVID-19 pandemic, can be the key sector in reviving our Philippine economy. But we have to, in this two-day summit, there have been a number of these big challenges and problems or characteristics that still would, paint what kind of agriculture we have today. Ang dami pang problema. Ha? Nakikita natin yung problema ng poverty. We have to appreciate poverty as an issue vis-a-vis agriculture. Kasi mamaya, we have to appreciate also na kung may food insecurity, ay hindi lang ang mga stakeholders sa agriculture ang may problema or may challenge sa atin, but it is the whole of various other sectors in the economy. Let me highlight that now, siguro. Hunger, di ba, mayroon tayong Pilipinas kontra gutom ngayon kasi in the midst of this pandemic, ang daming nawalan ng trabaho, ang daming nawalan ng livelihoods, at anong outcome? Yung mga poorer sector ng ating society ay walang-wala na sila because of the continuous, management of lockdowns here and now. And so, without money, there is hunger because they can no longer buy their food in spite of food that is available. So yon, food security, one of the dimensions is there is available food. But because I have no money, as a poor individual, I can no longer buy my food. And hence, there is food insecurity. Pero pag hindi mo naintindihan yung ganun na phenomenon, palagi sasabihin mo, kasalanan ng Department of Agriculture. Hindi dapat ganun po ang pananaw. Hindi po natin gusto na may mataas na hunger incidence. Kasi gusto natin dapat yung objective ng Pilipinas kontra gutom ay walang dapat nagugutom, walang iwanan. And so, we really have to highlight all these things para sa ganon ay mas maintindihan pa ng publiko na tayo in partnership with various instrumentalities and mechanisms of both government and the private sector are there, of course, to reduce hunger incidence in this country by way of reducing the poverty incidence of this country as well. So, ang dami pong problema. I need not go to the other problems. Next, dito sa two-day summit na ito, at yung synthesis kanina na ginawa ni Dr. Emil Javier ay we agree with what have been said or synthesized, articulated by Dr. Emil Javier. And the way forward continues to, highlights the same of these conclusions or a number of recommendations we can say. Now, minabuti po natin na there is a good treatment of what do we mean by food security from various dimensions. Para sa ganon, maintindihan ng publiko, maintindihan ng mga ating kapwang Pilipino na kung ano po yung mas tinitimbang na goal natin sa ating bansa. Is it ensuring food security or having to have food self-sufficiency? Ang simpleng pananaw po natin ay food self-sufficiency is an aspiration, but it is not very realistic. Sinabi nga ang mga dalubhasa, you can be food self-sufficient, but the cost of food is too high. That's not the kind of food security that we want to have. So itong mga 5 dimensions na nabanggit po dito, this will now characterize the kind of food security goal that we must try to imbibe and institutionalize further and have it appreciated by the Filipino public. Okay? Food security involves a combination of food availability, affordability, quality and safety, and resilience against risk. Now, repeating again what Dr. Habitu said also, a nation can be food self-sufficient, yet food insecure, and can be food secure even if not food self-sufficient. So food self-sufficiency is an important and desirable goal. Yun ang sinasabi ko na aspiration natin na maging food sufficient, but not at the expense of, the affordability that must be there for the whole Filipino nation. So food self-sufficiency is best pursued by a meaningful and effective support for farmers to improve productivity and competitiveness. So yun po, as we are ensuring food security, we need to level up productivity using modern technology and many other key strategies for that matter. We need to be competitive. That's why every step of the way to lower possibly the cost of producing the commodity must be always a major objective of any of the banner programs that we have. So I hope that with this, and also Dr. Shell Habito is saying that DA is moving in the right direction, but agriculture is too important to be left alone to the Department of Agriculture. There are many other key players in the industry. Next slide. In the light of this two-day summit, nakikita natin kung titingnan mo anong klaseng farmer or fisher na dapat mayroon tayo, na dapat yun ang nakikita natin in the medium term, in the long term. At dapat maumpisahan na towards that kind of a farmer or a fisher. One who is empowered and transformed. And with the new normal that we are in, we also need these new farmers and fishers who are not only producers, but also agripreneurs, farmers and fishers who are active or who are joining the farmers' cooperatives or associations. It's a way of life. In the new normal, collective action is a must, and open to farm consolidation and clustering. So, nandyan lahat yung strategies towards that kind of a new farmer or a new fisher, someone who is also technology-driven and efficient. And at the end of the day, that farmer or that fisher must be competitive. And competitive, hindi lang between and among regions, but outside. ASEAN, globally, tayo ay pwedeng makipagsabayan sa iba't ibang commodity industries. Okay. Ang isang nakita po natin na pagtuunan ng pansin now and in the future is itong, of course, may nangyayari na public-private people partnership. Every step of the way ay itong consultative process na enshrined, even having an institution to coordinate must be elevated. Pick-up continues to be relevant. Pick-up, even nahati yung budget, must continue to do the best so that participation and engagement and the whole process of consultation must be done well para hindi tayo palaging pinipintasan na ang Department of Agriculture is not a consultative institution. We have to do much better this time around. We have to really engage every step of the way, all the stakeholders, so that there is real meaningful engagement of the various stakeholders. Now, even in the process of now utilizing the outputs of this two-day summit, particularly in updating the roadmaps of the various commodities today, where it will now be called commodity industry roadmaps. And in this PPP, this will enhance as well and encourage the private sector to get engaged and invest in the sector of fisheries and agriculture. Isa sa mga very important strategies dominating the discussion itong 2 days, ito yung decentralized agriculture and fishery extension system. At napapanahon na, although the devolution law has been there 30 years na pala, yung pag-devolve ng extension system, pero hindi pa rin hanggang ngayon ay perpekto yung intindi o yung pag-absorb or pag-institutionalize ng ating mga katuwang sa local government units. So the local government units, with the continuous nurturing and support technical assistance of the Department of Agriculture and other partners, will have now to be more open this time around. Next year, with the Bandanas ruling, they will now have more resources to really make it possible that a critical mass of extension agents will be there, where they will all be doing mostly the rowing. So, yung pinaplano na pagbibigay ng mas maraming budgetary support ngayon ng gobyerno, national government, through their IRA, that will start again next year. But it is a good idea, and we will support this idea, that if at all, in many ways, if it is through the issuance of an executive order, in tandem with the formulation of an executive order to also further strengthen this devolved agriculture and fishery extension system, why not? We will strongly support that direction. Okay? So PAPES, when I was here, August, was that 10 or 11, when there was the turnover with Secretary Piñol then, one of the initiatives I mentioned in my acceptance speech was this PAPES, because I knew then that this devolution has been there for some time, but there are much work to be done in terms of, really the LGUs being more efficient and effective, and the LGUs giving priority and budgeting these activities regularly. Next slide. Okay. So ito yung tinatawag natin kanina, na yung outputs ng summit na ito ay magagamit po dito sa pag-update ng roadmaps ng various commodity. Ngayon ay mayroon ng mga draft commodity roadmaps, but with this new normal environment and with now more inputs coming from the various stakeholdership, then we are now having a bank of knowledge and information that can really enhance our updating of now the commodity industry roadmaps. So from here on, we will call it Commodity Industry Roadmap, Rice Industry Commodity Roadmap, Corn Industry Commodity Rice Industry Roadmap, Corn Industry Roadmap, and the like. Para sa ganon, ay hindi lang we are going to sow the seeds, so to speak, because this is under the new normal. Next slide. Now, but before that, let me highlight, bago yan, I am now directing the banner directors with USEC Ariel here and other USECs concerned dun sa mga banner programs to allocate 5 million each for those commodity industry to finish this work. We should finish the updating of these commodity industry roadmaps in the next 4 months. 4 lang na buwan, tapusin natin po yan. Next slide. Now, naging umbrella program na ang plant, plant, plant program. Sinimulan natin nung kasagsagan ng pandemya noong 2020 at nakita natin na hindi lang pang pandemya pero tuloy-tuloy na ito para sa future programs. This will now be institutionalized as it has been in Bayanihan 1, Bayanihan 2, even now in Bayanihan 3. Plant program is now the common denominator of the assistance being allocated by the national government towards improving agriculture, ensuring food security during this pandemic and beyond. Again, for the public, plant program ay hindi lang para sa crops, para sa lahat ng commodity industries kagaya ng livestock, poultry, and fisheries. And alongside these commodity industries, we need now to enhance crop diversification as enshrined in the rice tariffication law. We need to now see to it that a budget for crop diversification must be secured, must be mobilized and secured so that I know there are already certain diversification efforts that we can now upscale. And one instance, for example, is the project here of our good friend Bobby Amores. He is promoting consolidated farming in okra after rice. So rice-based farming system, rice okra farming system is obtaining. We need to scale that because it's not only for local markets. The okra that we have started, the private sector was for Japan and now South Korea. And modern technology cuts across. That's the kind of engine that we would always like to highlight. The engine that fuels this transformation, these higher levels of productivity and higher income would be the use of modern technologies. Ang dami yan, mga modern technologies, precision, digital agriculture, disruptive technologies, drone technologies, artificial intelligence, everything. What is relevant so that, efficiency can be observed in enhancing productivity and towards higher income. Now, talking about rice, and we have to mention about the importance of RCEP, Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund, that's under the rice tariffication law. And, with the other national rice production programs, this has given us due performance to be highlighted again today. Last year was a record high rice production level that the country have achieved. And this year, we are adding 1 million metric tons, so targeting 20.4 million metric tons. Now, why are we lowering the tariff for the most favored nation? Tariff rates have been lowered from 40% in quota to 35%, and from 50% outside quota. The important rationale Why? So that everyone must explain as well. Last year, di ba? 90% of our imports are coming from Vietnam. And Vietnam even almost did not continue to sell their rice to us. But we went through a diplomatic discussion, and they continued up until today. But the second trigger is that the prices of rice in the global market is rising at the level of 35 to 38%. And so we are just wanting to sustain affordable prices of rice in the market so that inflation from rice will not show in again, as was the case in 2018. So ito yung pinaka-rason. If you have more diversity of your market sources for rice, ay hindi ka mapipiga ng isang nasyon kagaya ng Vietnam. At you can now buy, the importers can buy much cheaper rice. There is good competition, and that's good for the consuming public. Maybe, ang isang tanong ay, baka hindi ninyo kinonsider na we will be losing tariff. Okay, granting, itong mga nabigyan natin ngayon ng most favored nation status ay naka-corner ng 10% of the total import market. But last year, we had 15 billion or so tariff collected from imports. So, using that figure, 10% of 15 billion is 1.5 billion will be lost as tariff. But you maintain good, affordable prices in the consuming public. That we have to appreciate what's the level if you have to do that or know that in peso equivalent. Okay? So, these are all parts of the economic development cluster discussions. It was first initiated by the Department of Finance, which we came forward to support. So it went through the process in the Committee on Tariff and Related Matters. The CTRM gave the direction to the Tariff Commission to make consultations. And from there, it went back to CTRM for final approval. And from there, the NEDA brought it to the President with a draft executive order. So ganun po, may proseso yan. At sana naintindihan ng madla. Baka ang pangatlong tanong ay, baka makakalimutan ninyo yung tulong sa mga rice farmers, hindi po. Alam ba ninyo na rice is one of the heavily funded commodity industry in the Department of Agriculture? If you bring in NIA together with our investments, 60 billion pesos is now presently invested in terms of various support, rice, seeds, fertilizers, training, extension, credit, machineries, irrigation management, irrigation development. 60 billion pesos is presently being invested by the national government to prop up higher levels of productivity of the rice farmers towards higher levels of income. And at the end of the day, there is also the objective of making them competitive. Next. Okay, 11,524 is all related to the coconut industry, trust fund, the levies that have been collected early on, is now giving a new fillip to the coconut industry development. So, the Industry Trust Fund Act, there is about a substantial amount in billions of pesos annually to be allocated or have been allocated. There are about 15 investment areas that have been put in the Republic Act 11524, and this will now unlock the full potential of the coconut industry. Today, the coconut industry is only contributing 4% of the gross value added in agriculture. It could be more. Okay. Next, this is the more contentious issue of today, ang mahiwagang baboy. I would like to take this time again to highlight we have elevated our game in terms of the rejuvenation of the hog industry. There is repopulation and recovery program. There is elevated African swine fever management by way of containing, controlling this most dreadful disease. And at the end of the tunnel, there is light that we are seeing. This is the presence of a vaccine or two products now under testing or clinical trials today. And for the next 80 days more, we shall be knowing whether these vaccines will be very effective or not. Once properly, these trials are done and found effective, this is now what I call the game changer in our fight against African swine fever, and even the repopulation program can be accelerated. We were seeing a 2-3 year repopulation program with a 30 billion budget. So here we are putting a program that has started with a 30 billion budgetary support for the next 3 years to really rejuvenate the hog industry. Now sa fisheries naman, alam niyo 16-17% ang kontribusyon ng fisheries sa ating gross value added sa agriculture, GVA. At nakikita ninyo 3 major sources. Aquaculture ang pinakamataas, then equally between municipal fisheries and commercial fisheries, yung iba. So, last quarter, the growth of the fisheries sector was only 0.6%. It could be more. And that's why I am directing the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources with its regional offices to elevate their energy by way of really targeting interventions necessary to really unleash the potential of the fishery sector. So, there is what we call today the global blue food system, where, of course, fishery is the core of this. We must be part and fully integrate ourselves in this global blue food system. Next. Okay, credit and insurance. Nasabi na kanina ni Dr. Javier doon sa synthesis niya na ang Land Bank ay doing their share. I know because I'm a member of the Board of Directors of Land Bank. And pag-upo ko nga, August 5, meron na silang action plan to do much better for the next 3 years. So, pangalawang taon na ito, and they are almost within their target. The first year, they targeted 1 million farmers, fishers. Second year, 2 million. Sa pangatlong taon ay 3 million. Pero kung ikukumpara mo doon sa number of farmers and fishers totaling about 11 million, it's a long way yet. But even locally, I mean, lately, because of this feedback coming from the field that it's not easy, it's not accessible, it's not affordable, and all these documentary requirements, ay nag-consultation po ang Land Bank of the Philippines at nakita po nila yung mga iba't ibang concerns. And truly, Land Bank is now acting on the recommendations of those consultations. Now, yung idea na, of course, from our side, credit through the ACPC continues to be properly done, increasing. Ito, alam naman ninyo, ACPC is modeling credit programs for agriculture, and the bigger programs are still with the Land Bank of the Philippines and the Development Bank of the Philippines. These two banks are key partners in really transforming Philippine agriculture today. Mayroon nasabi kanina doon sa konsultasyon na Farmers Bank subsidiary dapat ng Land Bank. At para sa ganun, mayroon nakafocus na talaga besides their universal banking responsibility. So we will support that. And also the insurance system today, PCIC is doing their best, but it could be better. And even in the fight against ASF, the new arrangement will now be that the insurance system will be utilized to indemnify no longer from the Quick Response Fund, but from the funding of the Philippine Crop Insurance Corporation. And I'd like to mention here that in regard to the incentivization of the hog industry rejuvenation, we are funding 22% of the premium for the commercial hog raisers getting insurance from PCIC. Next. Balanced trade. And this is where alam natin na talo ang export trades natin vis-a-vis imports. The ratio is 2:1. And if you go by the data or information given by Dr. Clarete yesterday, we have been exporting much, much more about 20 years ago, and we are losing that. So we need to revisit our engagement in terms of export development. It has to be aggressively done. We have to do it properly. Even like that of the okra, we have to promote more of the products that we are having much more from the high-value crops, from fisheries, and other subsectors of agriculture. So here, again, the private sector will be engaged in a big way. I would like also to mention in relation to this, yung mga food processing activities natin, we have set up actually, and it's an ongoing development of the ABCs, the Agri-Industrial Business Corridors, one in Clark, another here in Taguig, and it will add itself in many ways in other strategic areas in all over the country. Now, one thing to highlight is, the EDC, where the DA is as much a part, is amenable to this direction of tariff rates to be unified, equalized. So ito na yung nangyayari na starting with this rice. na 35% na ang taripa. Hindi na yung minimum access volume that will be done away in the future already. Okay? So, we are one with the EDC, again, to pursue this unified, equalized tariff rates for agricultural products. Now, huwag natin kalimutan na ang climate change ay nandito na, affecting already not only agriculture but the whole society. After the pandemic, ito na yung pangalawang problema ng mundo natin. So we have to adapt now the principles of climate-smart agriculture. We have to have more early warning systems in place, disaster risk management to be strengthened at various levels. We have that capacity. We will continue to further enhance. We need to look at how organic agriculture, sustainable agriculture, or ecological agriculture in many ways as part of the adaptation measures towards climate-smart agriculture. We have more of these AMIA villages already piloted. If we can do more of that, we will have to showcase in a big way. Of course, you need to use the latest tools of molecular breeding to develop more climate-resistant varieties, particularly drought tolerance, heat resistance, and the like. Next slide. Now, digital agriculture. There's no way but to move forward, embrace the power of digital agriculture in all respect of the functioning of the Department of Agriculture. Disruptive technologies. The Kadiwa is now having this e-Kadiwa platform, e-butchers also for distribution of agricultural inputs. So we are there, but we will have to go much faster, embrace the digitalization of Philippine agriculture. We have yet to perfect or enhance or finalize our RBSA registry or the farmers registry, because any of the ayuda or farm subsidies that will be given through the farmers registry. So let's embrace agriculture 4.0, where today nasa agriculture 1.0 pa lang tayo. So there's so much to do to accelerate the transformation from agriculture 1.0 to 4.0. Karamihan palagi ito yung daing ng mga iba't ibang stakeholders. Yung data management natin ay hindi po sustained, hindi po longitudinal ang approach. This time, mayroon isang director, okay? Next time, naalis yung director, nag-uumpisa ulit. Walang sustainability, walang continuity. So, Dr. Romy Rosede of IRRI, nandito siya. Siya dati yung baikon or bus. Kailangan natin a unit of bus today in the DA that will really put in place the best of data management protocols so that you can really inform yourself. When we decide as an institution, we must be informed properly using the best of data that we have. Hindi yung, meron akong ganito informasyon. That's not the way to do it. No? In ICRISAT, just to give you an example, 45 years na longitudinally collecting year in, year out data. At nakikita natin yung importansya itong mga datos na ito kasi it can give you a better informed process when you decide. Next slide. The importance of the youth have been highlighted also during the summit. We are a youthful country, so to speak. Kanina nakita ninyo yung 18 to 35, karamihan ng Pilipino ngayon. So, batang-bata, and the entry point for them to get engaged with us is the digital space. Nasabi niyan kanina. At really, they can really ignite the transformation of Philippine agriculture, properly engaged, properly enticed. And there are a number of programs now that we are starting, Maya, Kaya, the mentorship program with Go Negosyo, partnership, DAATI, and many others, internship in other countries. So we will continue to elevate our youth program in agriculture. Now, naging komplikado ang diagram na ito. Pero this is what pictures our Philippine food system today. Ito na yung, yung importansya na itong Philippine food system has an ecosystem by itself. Kaninang umaga, nasabi ni Jim taga UPLB, there are many aspects of the ecosystem, infrastructure, socio-economic, political, name it. There are many parts of this Philippine food system, from pre-farm production to farm production to processing, value adding, manufacturing, to marketing, to consumption. So yun, apat palagi. Ito yung dati tinatawag natin na value chain. Okay, so from pre-production, production, value adding, processing, marketing, and consumption. We need to appreciate this. We need to contextualize building this up as this is now the new language of the UN in regard to agriculture and food. And the next slide, which we had an activity today, the launching of the UN Food System Summit 2021 for the Philippines. And thank you, UN, for giving us the lead responsibility to convene this Philippine Summit of the UN Food Systems 2021. Okay, next, huwag natin kalilimutan na ang agriculture ay mga tao ang gumagawa. And that's why yung capacities nila, as well as professionalizing the system, professionalizing the food system is necessary. And these are all what we intend to achieve and pursue. And also part of that is the ease of doing business and no to corruption as part of the principle of having professionals, those with hearts and minds who would like to make a difference in really enhancing the transformation of Philippine agriculture. And we are almost to the last part of my way forward. Next slide. Is this. We can no longer set this aside. Halos yung ating na-discuss itong last 2 days can be encapsulated again by this one DA reform agenda. We need to improve the way we are doing, the way we are planning, implementing, and evaluating. At yun, consolidation, modernization, industrialization, and professionalization, ito yung apat na haligi ng transformasyon ng Philippine agriculture. We have just to put more teeth, put more flesh into all of these pillars and the key strategies underneath. And what will make it possible is the increased investments necessary to support the recommendations of the two-day summit. Alam ninyo, you cannot get anything from nothing. We invest good in rice production, we are getting the best of results. We should have to have more budgetary support. And of course, when there is much more budgetary support given by government, the private sector will come in a big way as well, bringing more investments, if they see government investing so much. So, we are hoping that the budget that we will have for 2022 will be something proportional to the contribution of agriculture to the economy. We are contributing 10%. That's coming from the GBA. But if you look at agribusiness, processing, that's another 10%. So it's more than 20%. Idagdag mo pa yung mga tracking, mga logistical support, another 15%. Ang laki po ang binibigay na kontribusyon sa ating ekonomiya. So, we hope that we are able to capture the bigger directions that have been articulated during this summit, and of course, thanking the almost 15,000 participants to this two-day summit for your active participation and the recommendations, the ideas that have been put forward, reinvigorating our, the men and women, the various stakeholders of agriculture in the country. So, you can bring the best in everyone's minds and hearts, even in the pandemic period like we have today. Kung ikaw ay push to the wall, ay talagang ang Pilipino, lalaban yan. Lalaban sa ideas, lalaban yan sa panaginip, lalaban yan sa mga rekomendasyon para sa ganon ay masustain natin ang growth and development of Philippine agriculture in the future, anchored on this very important vision which can be sustained in this new normal. This is very relevant. A food secure and resilient Philippines with empowered and prosperous farmers and fisher folks. So, thank you. Congratulations to all the 15,000 participants and to the 11 million farmers and fishers who are to really benefit from the very ideas and recommendations of this two-day summit. We would like again to thank our beloved President, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, for this continuing trust and confidence and support given us and given the sector of agriculture. Mabuhay kayong lahat.
Muli, si Secretary William Maro Willie Dar.